So we are talking about the movie The Hospital 2, the sequel to the 2013 movie simply called The Hospital. Now that movie has a special place in my heart because it is actually the lowest rated film I've got on my channel. I couldn't find anything redeeming about it whatsoever, and I tried to look for at least one redeeming thing in pretty much any film that I see. This film, I couldn't find anything. I gave it 0.5 out of 10. It was a poorly made film. It was badly made, badly acted, crap special effects. The main thing though is that I felt the context of the story was just an excuse to have rape scene after rape scene with no real kind of reason for it. Now, I wasn't the only person to think that, and the interesting thing here is that the criticisms levelled at that first film, the filmmakers have almost worn it as a kind of badge of honour, sort of saying it's so extreme, you know, it's so offensive that it's kind of like put off critics. You should see this film because it is so extreme. And yeah, it is, but it doesn't mean it's a good film, you know, and that's the thing. That's the thing I think people don't realise. But anyway, we'll move on to The Hospital 2. Is it better than the first film? Yes, it is better on probably every front than the first film. And I'll come on to it in a little bit more detail in a second. But that doesn't mean to say that it is a good film. Now the story here basically takes place 5 years after the events of the first movie. And we have the two kind of serial killers, or two of the serial killers from the first film, played by Jim O'Rear and Daniel Emery Taylor, who are both the co-directors of this film. And they've set up shop with Jim O'Rear's character's daughter in this kind of like home for battered women, and they're basically using this home as a kind of source to find women that they can kind of rape, then murder on film, and then stream it live on the internet to kind of sickos watching on the internet for kind of snuff movies and stuff like that. Now the addition of Megan Emmerich playing Jim O'Rear's daughter, or Alan his name is, I think was a good move. She adds a much needed kind of different dynamic to it, and she has quite a good screen presence. Not the best actress, but none of them are really. So, but I could have quite liked her in the role. She was made quite a good villain, I thought. So she was definitely a positive addition to the cast here. So I quite liked her character. Then we've also got two survivors from the original movie, basically kind of who are coming into contact with these kind of guys again. Now one of them has been recast, so the actress here is a lot better than the one in the original movie. And that's really all I'll say on the plot. So why is this a better film, but still not a good film, than the first movie? The main thing here, I feel, is the story is just a lot more coherent. Now, the important thing to point out with this movie, there are two versions of it as far as I know. I saw an hour and a half version, but the runtime that I've seen online says it's 2 hours, so there must be a kind of unrated cut. I'm guessing, and I don't know this, but I am guessing that the longer version is basically half an hour of extra rape scenes, because there's still a lot of raping going on in this film, and the way it is cut is pretty much near enough at every rape scene. So I'm guessing that longer version is pretty much just half an hour of extra rape footage, basically. But I haven't seen that, so I cannot judge it on that version. So I'm judging this on the hour and a half version. Now, because of that, however, I feel the story flows a little better. And even though there are some rape scenes in this, some of it is implied due to these cuts, basically. And I don't feel it doesn't seem quite as gratuitous as the first film, which in itself is a bit better, because it just makes the story kind of run a bit better. And the story, I feel, has a little bit more to it as well. I also think the guys have made improvements on the kind of technical prowess. For example, the sound mixing was terrible in the first film, and the kind of the camera, but it seems to have improved. I still have some problems with it. There are some issues in regards to sound effects. Some of them are like way too loud and don't quite match, and there are some continuity problems. There's a scene, for example, where in this kind of women's home, these women are sitting around having this dinner, and the two of the serial killers are standing there chatting, and they're talking in normal volume, and they're only a few feet away from these women, and they're talking about murdering them, and no one's hearing it. And the rest of the women are just sitting there silently, and all you can hear are these kind of like clack, the sound effects from like forks and knives going against plates. So it's kind of silly stuff like that, really. There's also a few scenes where you'll see bodies, and you'll clearly see the actual bodies breathing and stuff like that. So there's a few kind of like little niggles here and there in regards to that kind of stuff. But like I said, I feel the story is better, and I think it benefits it from having more of a kind of slightly restrained. This is still going to be a mega offensive film, don't get me wrong. I feel the acting is a little bit better as well. I feel they've obviously got a few new cast members here. You've also got Debbie Rochon, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce her surname, because I've only ever seen it in text. But anyway, she's a kind of a B-movie stalwart. But generally speaking, I feel the acting has improved from the first film. So pretty much on every aspect, I would say that it still is an improvement. But it still has, obviously, problems. It isn't fantastically acted. It's better than the first one, but it's still not fantastically acted. It's still not... The edits on this one are so obvious. You know, it'll kind of... It's very jarring sometimes, even though maybe I appreciate the attempt of trying to have it a little bit more subdued sometimes. The edits are quite jarring. So it clearly looks like someone just gone, nope, just edit it down very quickly, and it kind of looks jarring, to be honest with you. I will point out that there is still quite a lot well, there's a lot of violence against women in this film. A lot of it is off screen this time, but it's still there. So, you know, it's not a terrible film, I don't think. If you kind of like serial killer kind of films, kind of rape revenge type films, although there's not a lot of revenge in this, to be fair, it's pretty much just a rape film. It makes it a watchable film for a kind of, if you like more of your hardcore sort of violence films, basically. Then if you like films like I Spit in Your Grave, which is a good film, I feel, has an offensive subject matter, but it's not a bad film. The first Hospital was terrible. That is improved. So with that in mind, I will give this movie a 4 out of 10. Still not a great mark, don't get me wrong, but it's a vast improvement over the first film. That's my review on that one. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.